Breaking news and welcome back to ThisJustin's WWE 2k24 Universe Mode. Here we are seeing in this part the AEW Women's Championship being defended here in a casket match at AEW Wrestle Dynasty. The current reigning champion Stephanie Vacour has been the champion and been so since her victory over Toni Storm 35 days ago. So she has not been the champion for all that long, but in a victory in a triple threat match featuring Julia and Toni Storm back at AEW Revolution, Stephanie Vacour acquired the championship. Now as for Rhea Ripley, Rhea, throughout the majority of this year being featured as a part of the NXT brand, which she would do so back at the NXT Rumble, as well as in a loss against the previous NXT Women's Champion, Jade Cargill, back at NXT Halloween Havoc. Take that, you racist. And hopefully that's what happens at WrestleMania this year in the coming weeks. And now we see Rhea Ripley here trying to compete for the AEW Women's Championship here at AEW Wrestle Dynasty in this casket match. Stephanie Vacour, a very acclaimed champion here in Universe Mode, but prior to her being the current AEW Women's Champion, she was the AEW TBS Women's Champion. Stephanie Vacour back at AEW All In Wembley would win the Women's TBS Championship Gauntlet match, in which Julia looked to defend her TBS Championship against 9 other women, 10 total, and Stephanie Vacour acquiring the AEW TBS Championship, going on to hold that championship for 112 days until she would lose it to Queen Aminata. That happening back at AEW World's End. Now with Rhea out to the ring, we see the introduction of Stephanie Vacour. Stephanie has been a champion throughout the year here in Universe Mode, whether it be the AEW TBS champion or the AEW Women's Champion. Stephanie Vacour has joined the likes of Mercedes Moné, as well as, herself, Stephanie Vacour, and Mercedes Moné, two women who have held both of those championships. And the champ is here now, but she is entering this matchup to a stipulation that she is not quite familiar with. However, we will see how both of these women adapt to the casket match style of contest that we are going to see here. With Stephanie's big win last month over Julia and Toni Storm being a rather unexpected victory, considering Toni Storm had held that championship for 112 days since she defeated Mercedes Moné for it earlier this year in Universe Mode back at AEW Full Gear. Came as quite a surprise to see Toni Storm losing the AEW Women's Championship. However, going on earlier tonight, as we saw earlier in the show, competing in a tag team match with Trish Stratus against Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria in an effort to tie up some loose ends that Toni Storm had with Becky Lynch throughout the year. Perhaps Toni now can get back on track with whoever is the victor of this match here tonight. And now we see coming down to the ring is the casket.
There are no pinfalls, submissions, disqualifications.
There are the rules of the match. Essentially, you have to incapacitate your opponent and put them inside the casket in order for it to be wheeled out.
After closing the casket lid shut, the remaining superstar will be declared the winner.
We will see here tonight who is able to do so, who is able to endure, who is able to walk away as the women's champion. Here in Universe Mode, we have seen some champions being crowned recently that, especially in the women's division, that we haven't quite seen before. We saw Bianca Belair pick up a tremendous victory following her Royal Rumble win back at WrestleMania and acquiring her first World Championship here in Universe Mode. The same could be said here for Rhea Ripley, a woman who has never acquired a championship here in Universe Mode, could be walking out of here with the AEW Women's World Championship and joins a lineage that is just absolutely top to bottom covered in tremendous champions. The AEW Women's Championship has been held by the likes of such incredible competitors such as Toni Storm, as we mentioned, Mercedes Moné on 2 occasions. Oh, and a DDT there from Stephanie Vacour drops Rhea Ripley head first on the apron on the outside, spiking her. And then Stephanie Vacour looked to introduce a steel chair there, but instead Rhea fighting back and being sent into the barricade as Stephanie Vacour tries to fight her off. But as mentioned, Mercedes Moné, a former champion, Athena, a former champion, Kairi Sane, as well as Io Sky. And now Rhea sending Stephanie Vacour over the top rope and down hard onto the casket. Vacour now returning back to the inside of the ring. Super kick to Rhea as she looked to get back into the ring, but kind of unfazed by that. Instead returns a back elbow to her. And now these two going to continuously fight each other back and forth here. These two go. Vacour sends Rhea Ripley over the top rope into the outside now. And what could Vacour be looking for here? She creates the separation, rebounds off of the ropes now, dives up to the top rope, and a huge plancha to the outside. Taking a tremendous risk there is Stephanie Vacour, and then follows it up with a huge, tremendous suplex on the outside. And a neck breaker to follow that up. Not letting up on this offense is Stephanie, and now Rhea Ripley instead sending her around ringside. Look to come charging in and drop that leg with the clothesline, brother. And instead, Stephanie Vacour connecting with the drop kick. Looks to get Rhea back up to her feet here and looks to connect with another drop kick, but instead Rhea hoists her up and German suplexes her. The back of Stephanie's head hitting into the apron there. And now power slam position here for Rhea. Snake eyes. Rhea sends Stephanie face first down on the apron. Follows it up with a Northern Lights suplex. Now full Nelson slam there from Rhea. And it's worth mentioning here tonight, Rhea opening up that casket at ringside. Rhea Ripley, her first ever appearance here tonight in AEW. And she finds herself in this AEW Women's Championship match. And I think that's why we can kind of tell the response from the crowd, not quite in favor, more so favoring Stephanie Vacour, a woman who throughout AEW we've seen acquire the AEW Women's Championship and the AEW TBS Women's Championship, and kind of have this natural organic rise to acclaim here in AEW. So the fans not quite taking to Rhea Ripley, someone who they deem to be an outsider coming in here to try and steal that championship away from a woman who has worked really, really hard to build her way up as part of this brand. Now Stephanie Vacour sends Rhea into the turnbuckle pad. Rhea, however, power slam position, looks to bring Stephanie over. Power slams her over the ropes, and a boot to the face there sends Vacour recoiling back into the casket. Now once again looking to introduce a weapon to the ring, electing for the sledgehammer. That's a big shocker from Rhea Ripley. Now Rhea, power slam position here, looks to bring Stephanie over to the casket, but a series of elbows instead create the separation, sends Rhea into the barricade there. Now Vacour sending Rhea around the ringside area, just to disorient her for the time being. Now both women back up to their feet here. Bakur look for that pump kick, but now instead being sent face first into that ring post. Shot here, a clubbing blow across the back. Bakur fighting back though, and connects with that headbutt. Fighting at ringside here, shotgun drop kick now to the back. Sends Rhea face first into that casket, reversing that opportunity and drilling her with a DDT here at ringside. Now Irish whip reversal. We see Rhea again going to look to introduce a weapon into this match. This time she's electing to grab the shovel from underneath the ring. I guess the shovel makes for an appropriate utility of weapon here in the casket match. As now Rhea looking to close the door here on Stephanie. Stephanie though quickly fighting back out of it, quickly creating the separation and quickly escaping from that predicament. Now both women fighting again here at the ringside area. Rhea gets the advantage here with a power slam. Reversal though from Bakur, who drops her down with a inverted DDT. Rhea now brings her into an abdominal stretch. I mean, the submission is not going to get the victory here tonight, but it is going to do a pretty decent job at trying to expel some of the energy from her. But Bakur quickly able to escape with that head scissors. Rhea with the Irish whip reversal now sends Bakur outside the ring yet again, crashing hard to the outside. Look for the strike, but instead it's Bakur answering back with a combination of strikes of her own. Now Rhea is sent back to the inside of the ring here. Bakur returning with a kendo stick. She's going to look to utilize that here. Strike to the midsection there of Rhea. Now it hits her right across the face. And yet again to the midsection, utilizing that kendo stick to her advantage. Rhea, however, tripping out the leg there and going after targeting the knee. Mounted punches here to follow it up. Not letting up. And then a slap to the face. Just utter disrespect there at the end. Now German suplex, and Stephanie with a very rough landing on top of that shovel that Rhea introduced into the matchup. I'm not sure if that was even intended by Rhea, but it certainly paid off for her. And it was nasty work there, as now she comes charging in with a hip attack into the corner and series of boots there. Rhea now going to the outside and once again gonna open up the casket in an effort to try and win the championship. But first she's got to get the champion over there and has to do enough to incapacitate the champion to the point where she can put her away and close the lid. Here, Bakur we see trapping Rhea with that arm wrench flatliner. Drops her down onto the shovel, and there we see not quite the devil's kiss, but at least one of them. Head scissors, face buster, now sends Rhea into the turnbuckle pad and hoists her up onto the top rope, but Rhea is able to escape. Rhea now with a power slam. Takes Stephanie over to the ropes, drops her down on the apron, and then boots her again into the casket. And Rhea has, I believe Rhea has had the only opportunities to try and win this match. I don't think Stephanie has gotten Rhea to a point where she is inside the casket yet. And to that effect, I think Stephanie's going to have a difficult time here with Rhea Ripley, unless she is able to find a way to switch up the way that this one is going, because so far Stephanie Vacour is facing one of her toughest challenges to date, and her toughest challenge as a defending champion so far here in this casket match. Now we see Vacour utilizing the shovel here at ringside nearby the casket and utilizing it to hit Rhea Ripley with it. Now we see Vacour back yet again up on the apron. Looks to open and then close the casket, perhaps thinking differently. Was originally going to look to utilize it. Now instead, schoolboy super kick to Rhea back on the inside of the ring. Now waiting for her to get back up to her feet. Just to absolutely decimate her with that steel chair shot to the face. Follows it up. Another one. Threatens to hit her with the steel chair. She got up, but instead Rhea too quick. Now Rhea brings Vacour over to the ropes, sends her out on top of the casket, and now Rhea with Vacour on top of the casket, power slam down on the casket, and a huge crushing landing as Vacour comes crashing down hard, not only on the casket from that power slam, which must have absolutely hurt so bad, but also on her way down, landing on the shovel that was at ringside as well. So just a doubly brutal landing there for Vacour. Now Rhea Ripley being hoisted up by Vacour into a fireman's carry. Now a powerbomb position. And now it's Rhea's turn to be dropped on top of the casket with a powerbomb. Now Stephanie again going to look to utilize the shovel here at ringside, a weapon that has done wonders for her so far in this matchup. Now Rhea quickly back into the ring, wasting no time on the recovery and wasting no time getting back into the fray with Vacour inside the ring. Now we're waiting for Rhea just to recover here. Vacour doing the same. Runs over. Another springboard plancha as she attempted earlier on in this matchup, but that time there was no water in the pool as Rhea Ripley able to sidestep it, and Vacour crashing down very hard on the outside, but Vacour now answers back, boot to the midsection, pump handle, sit out onto the steel steps. I think Rhea came crashing down her right arm onto those steps, and a very, very rough landing for Rhea Ripley. And now the lights went out, and Rhea Ripley appears standing up behind Stephanie Vacour. I'm not sure what kind of arrangement she has with the production crew, but now a power slam from Rhea sends Vacour over the top rope and crashing down hard onto the casket yet again. Steel chair shot attempted here on the inside, but it's reversed. And now inverted suplex there from Vacour. Schoolboy, another schoolboy super kick there. Rhea trying to recover, trying to crawl over to the corner to see if there's a way that she can get back up to her feet here and still remain in this matchup. Vacour's got the steel chair, and Rhea seated position on the top rope. Was looking to capitalize, but it's reversed. Now Rhea fighting back here. As Vacour, who gets the advantage, sends Rhea into the turnbuckle, turns her around, and lifts her up into a seated position. With that steel chair that's still down there, we have to watch out for that. Looks for the avalanche back suplex, but Rhea escapes out of it and drops down Stephanie onto that top rope. Reversal there from Stephanie, and a firebomb yet again. A maneuver that we saw utilized in the previous match from Hangman Page to walk away with the championship. Perhaps Stephanie Vacour going to look to utilize that here to retain her championship. And now from the top rope, diving down with a massive leg drop onto Rhea, who was positioned herself on top of that steel chair. So Vacour coming crashing down not only on Rhea, but Rhea, her back being positioned on top of that chair is just for even added effect. And now Vacour with a spear taking Rhea off of the apron. And for the first time in this matchup, I believe, we're going to see the champion looking to put away the challenger here inside of the casket. But quickly we see the power of Rhea able to fight back and still maintain being in this matchup. Now a steel chair shot pelted directly at Rhea Ripley from Vacour as she was just awaiting for her to get back inside the ring to connect with that. Follows it up with a soul food and now looks to go capitalize, but instead Rhea Ripley connecting with a boot to the face. Huge lariat takedown. Now as Vacour was slowly recovering, slowly getting back up to her feet. Irish whip attempt here, rebounding off of the ropes, ducks underneath. Clothesline there from Rhea. Stomp to the face now, and a stomp to the back of the head as well. Vacour now, however, back into it. Able to shift the momentum now. Twists around, looks to lock in the Indian Deathlock on Rhea Ripley. Once again targeting the leg there with the Dragon Screw leg whip. A lot of leg-based offense here that we're seeing utilized by Vacour, perhaps looking to soften up Rhea for a submission. Again, as mentioned earlier, that will not get you the victory here, but it will do enough to perhaps incapacitate your opponent. Now again, once more we see Vacour looking to lock in this Indian Deathlock here. Very persistent with this hold. Dragon Screw leg whip there again. Staying on the assault. Now Vacour going to the outside, returning back up to the top rope. Huge diving elbow drop there. And crashing down hard on Rhea Ripley. Now looks for the back suplex coming off of the ropes, but instead Rhea shifting her weight, able to crash down on top of Vacour and shifting the momentum in a way so that she gets the advantage here. Power slam to the outside. Vacour landing on that steel chair on the apron there, which is not a comfortable landing. Sent inside the casket, but then Rhea, rather than capitalizing, instead going to look to once more try and introduce a weapon into this matchup. The baseball bat now being utilized by the Eradicator, and instead in the possession of Stephanie, and with a combination of shots here all over, and finally just throwing the bat at her. That's going to leave some black and blues for sure. Now Stephanie Vacour, springboard moonsault to the outside, crashing down hard on Rhea Ripley, and now twisting her up, drops her down with a flatliner off of the arm wrench. Looks to send Rhea back to the inside of the ring, but instead Rhea reversing it. Now Rhea following Vacour back to the inside. Vacour, however, reversing with a combination of back elbows here in order to escape. Jawbreaker to follow it up too. And then again we see the Eat Defeat utilized, going up to the top rope. Now taunting for the crowd, kind of surprisingly not entirely focused on business here. Stephanie Vacour actually posturing to the fans, and now you see all the camera flashes as a huge diving I believe she was looking for a diving lung blower, but instead connected with a diving shotgun drop kick. And now we see what all of that leg-based offense earlier on in the matchup was intended to be utilized for. The submission hold here being utilized by Vakur, but Rhea quickly finding a way in order to escape, despite the strength of Vakur not being able to hold that submission maneuver for longer than a few seconds, and Rhea capitalizes with a combination of strikes and that spinning back elbow. Rhea now going to introduce the second chair into this matchup. There's already one inside the ring, but Rhea utilizing it now to hit Stephanie Vakur in the corner with it multiple times here until it's gotten worn out almost. And now a series of strikes here from Rhea, follows it up with a chop to the face, just a slap from Rhea, showing absolute disrespect for the champion here. You see the other steel chair that's been utilized throughout this matchup and worked for both of these women on multiple occasions in their favor. Now again was looking to close the casket, however, again fighting back out of it, fighting back in this matchup. Takes her down yet again with some huge offense, and now Vakur looks to capitalize, but instead it's Rhea Ripley with a reversal, sends Vakur over the top rope into the outside again. A lot of this match being contested outside the ring as the brawl has continued throughout the whole ringside area. Irish whip attempts, but then again it returns back to the inside of the ring. Headbutt there from Rhea answers back as Stephanie was looking to come in with some offense of her own. Instead, Rhea turns it around, but now some back elbows from Stephanie create some separation here. Much needed. Now a boot to the midsection. Stephanie could be looking for the package. Backbreaker again. That time dropping Rhea on the lower back on top of that steel chair that Rhea wore out on Stephanie Vakur in the corner. And now Stephanie power slam tosses Rhea over the top, and now boot to the face the same way that Rhea did to her earlier on in this matchup. This time Vakur utilizing that to try and put Rhea away. Now looking to close the lid here on the casket, and if she can do so, this will be the first successful defense for Stephanie and disperse any kind of doubt that was had about her championship potential. But now again we see Rhea Ripley fighting to find a way out of the casket yet again in order to create that separation and maintain herself in this matchup. Vakur looked to dive to the outside, but unfortunately Rhea Ripley entering inside the ring as she looked to go for it, and again that's going to do some incredible damage. Chair shot there from Stephanie, who launches that chair at Rhea Ripley. Now connects with the shovel, again utilizing that shovel multiple times to her aid and returning it back to the inside of the ring now. Now back on the outside, again just kind of grabbing whatever tools are at ringside that she can utilize and returning them back to the inside of the ring in order for her plan to come together. Rhea now looking to throw Vakur around the ringside area, but instead receiving a bunch of back elbows once more from Stephanie, who now sends Rhea, looks to send her into the barricade there. Ducks that clothesline just narrowly. Rhea looked to come in, charging in with a massive clothesline, but Stephanie instead was able to duck out of the way and connect with that steel chair shot on the, there's the steel chair shot to the face. Prior to that, it was the sledgehammer, and now once again going to lock up the package backbreaker, but instead Rhea twisting around the arm into a clothesline that takes down Stephanie Vacour. Now we're going to see Rhea lock in the Prism Trap, locking in the submission hold on Stephanie Vacour. Again, submissions, which we see there from the champion. She's submitting, forcing Rhea to create the separation, but as we know in a casket match, that will not win you the match, and Rhea realizes that and looks to stay on the offensive advantage here, despite Stephanie Vacour saying that she gave. And instead, Rhea Ripley would have to get her inside of there. It being a leg submission, it's quite unlikely that she would be incapacitated then for the say. And now a powerbomb there from Vacour drops Rhea down so devastatingly on top of the bat. And now Rhea taken to the outside by Vacour, like she's just taking out the trash, the way that she clotheslined her over the top rope into the outside. Rhea now brings Vacour in and boot to the face. Now Rhea grabbing the shovel from the inside of the ring and looks to bring it to the outside. Shot to the back. Now with the action returning back to the inside of the ring, at least Rhea Ripley is for the time. Now Stephanie Vacour joins her. Boot to the midsection, and yet again Vacour going for the package powerbomb sidecar. I'm not sure what to call it. And now Stephanie Vacour gonna look to go to the outside, sends Rhea inside of the casket, and now gonna look to close it on her here. Really trying to force the lid closed here and walk out of tonight still the champion, which would be a tremendous accomplishment for her in her first defense. Instead, Rhea fights back, still maintaining, still persisting in this matchup. Champion and challenger both not looking to walk away. Now Vacour caught distracted. Rhea returns to the inside of the ring, lifts her up into the electric chair, and drops her down with a face buster. But I think more importantly there, Vacour came down hard on her leg on top of that baseball bat. And I think that is more of the telling story of what just happened there. Now Rhea looked to come charging in, but instead Vacour hits her with the baseball bat to the midsection. Now looks to connect with them on the outside, but caught by Rhea Ripley with a boot to the face. Rhea now grabs the useful steel chair that's still on the inside of the ring, but before she can use it, Stephanie connects with a drop kick on the outside of the ring here. Now Stephanie got to look to utilize that steel chair on her own and returning back to the inside of the ring to do so, perhaps. Now Rhea returns to the inside as well and is met with a chair shot there from Stephanie, calling for Rhea back up to her feet now. And there is a Russian leg sweep once more from Stephanie, delivered to Rhea on top of that steel chair as a weapon. Now brings her in for the Irish whip and drop toe holds her before she could get anything going. Combination chair shots there. Once more, Stephanie utilizing the chair to work over Rhea Ripley. Multiple chair shots, and then finally one to the head. Now Rhea fights back into it. Looks to reposition Stephanie Vacour, but instead Vacour fights back with a series of back elbows there. Super kick there from Vacour. Now with Rhea Ripley up, impressive strength for that Ocean Cyclone suplex. And now rolls through once again, schoolboy super kick. Utilizing that maneuver to catch her off guard for that incoming strike. And now, speaking of an incoming strike, 2 high velocity clotheslines in the corner. Wheelbarrow here to follow it up, and an arm drag that clearly is frustrating Rhea. As you see her pound the mat, she is annoyed at the fact that Stephanie Vaquer is catching her unsuspecting. Now on the outside of the ring, looking to put her away here. Looking to close the lid, but I think it's going to take a little bit more than that to wrestle the championship away from our new champion. And now we see her ascend to the top rope here. Reversing Rhea Ripley. Comes diving down on top of her again. Now rebound off of the rope. Running drop kick. Takes both women down. Forces Rhea Ripley to utilize the corner to work her way back up. And Stephanie Vaquer comes charging in with a clothesline once she does so. Now again, arm wrench. Flatliner there. Lays out both women. Both women exhausted, fatigued at this late stage in the match. They've been wrestling for over a half hour at this point in order to try and win that women's championship. One of the longest matches we've seen here tonight. Now we see Stephanie Vaquer, appropriately so considering it's one of our world championship matchups, but now Stephanie Vaquer locking in that submission we saw her utilize earlier on in this matchup, and once again going to look to lock it in and wrench in this hold to try and get Rhea Ripley to a state where she can be put away inside of the casket. Through to the midsection there. And attempted powerbomb reversed there as Stephanie Vaquer is sent overhead by Rhea Ripley onto that steel chair right on her lower back. Vaquer now with Rhea Ripley down, looks to pick her back up, but Rhea gets the advantage. Power slam, takes her overhead, boot to the face again. Rhea is so relentless with her attempts to win this championship. Trying to put Stephanie Vaquer away at any exchange in order to try and walk away from here as the new champ. Instead, yet again, Stephanie going to fight out of it. Tremendous German suplex there, utilized by Rhea. Looked to go to the outside there for just a moment, but instead thought better of it. Returns back to the inside where she's able to put the boots to Stephanie in the corner there. Now Rhea turns Stephanie around, once again hoists her up into the electric chair position and sits her out with that face buster. Comes crashing down hard with her. And now Rhea with Stephanie over at the ropes. Sends her, dishes her out to the outside. And Rhea could be looking for the victory off of that. Maybe coming very close to putting away Stephanie here and winning the championship by closing that lid. Stephanie still trying to desperately fight and find a way to maintain in this matchup, but Rhea is not making it easy for her right now. Trying to close that lid by any means. Vaquer, though, fights back, opens up the lid yet again, and finds her way back up into this matchup. Now looks fool, looks to go up to the top rope, but instead Rhea sends her down, crashing down hard. And now Rhea Waiting for Vacour to get back up to her feet here. She'll look to connect with a riptide right in the middle of the ring. Huge riptide from Rhea Ripley. Ripley now sending Vacour to the outside. Could that be the offensive advantage that Rhea Ripley needed to win this matchup here? Once again looking to put away Vacour, but Vacour again fights out of it, still breaking out of the casket and still fighting on in this matchup, refusing to stay down. Now we see both women grabbing weapons, Vacour with the baseball bat and Rhea Ripley with the sledgehammer. Looking to go at it. The baseball bat happened to win on that exchange. And now Rhea Ripley again with a boot to the midsection, sets her up for yet another riptide. There we've seen a second riptide from Rhea Ripley, and could that now officially be enough for Rhea Ripley? Power slams Vacour to the outside, boot to the face, and it could be academic at this point with Rhea Ripley looking to close that casket lid and secure the AEW Women's Championship. And she does here at AEW Wrestle Dynasty. We have a new AEW Women's Champion, and she has a tremendous ego because she just won that championship on her first day in. And that is not going to spell well for the AEW Women's Division. It's such a dominating champion just appeared on the scene, defeating Stephanie Vacour after only holding that championship for about a month since Revolution. Rhea Ripley now walks out of Wrestle Dynasty, the AEW Women's Champion. Thank you for joining me, and feel free to check out more of AEW Wrestle Dynasty Universe Mode.